From the moment those fateful time-slot lineups first materialized on NBC's programming grid, the powder keg of expectations was lit with an audacious, high-risk fuse. While Saturday Night Live producers initially salivated over the combustible chemistry promised by wedging Meghan Markle's hosting debut seamlessly against renegade superstar Ryan Gosling's vaunted no-holds-barred comedic sensibilities, they could scarcely anticipate the infernal conflagration about to erupt. Because as the divisive Duchess strode onto Studio 8H's iconic stage draped in dazzling couture gowns to rapturous opening applause from her intersectional #MarkleMarmy, the leading man had already finalized meticulous preparations to pulverize the evening into permanent infamy. And with each carefully workshopped slight dissembled under cheeky smiles and dutiful line readings, the countdown clicked towards an unavoidable detonation of truths. Wow, what an awe-inspiring honor to be gracing this hallowed Studio 8H stage as your humble Duchess host on this most prestigious of American comedic institutions this evening. Markle gushed to audiences while slipping into affected mid-Atlantic patois as the credits rolled. Just a starstruck working daughter of the people, still pinching herself at the sheer grandeur of standing atop such towering socio-cultural heights, brimming with gratitude at every opportunity to advocate for the world's overlooked matriarchal warriors in the face of hate's raging tempests. While Harry's polarizing wife soaked in the flattering stage lights and choreographed adulation from politely instructed audiences, Gosling already sat stewing at the forgotten corners of her periphery vision. Arms folded, muscles tensing beneath a shark-like underbitten expression, leaving no ambiguity about how aggressively the leading man planned on dismantling the sanctimoniously stale mystique being woven. Just minutes after the Montecito martyr had painted herself as a fringe revolutionary truth-telling catalyst for intersectional sisterhood during interminable opening rites, the unfiltered barrage of reality-rupturing haymakers detonated. And the transcendent movie megawatt wouldn't be subduing his seismic blows through any disingenuous characterizations or deeply game-changing, chuckle diversions permitted by more permissive comedic avenues. All right, enough yada yada already with that insufferable Mother Teresa shtick you've been driving every hapless soul surrounding into a cas coma with, Gosling interjected during a suspiciously hush-toned lull of the talking points rant, instantly silencing the reverential tone into gut-punch submission. The facade of enlightened humility shticks might still gull plenty of trust fund hotbeds into regressively eating from your hand, but nobody watching tonight came to experience another huckster's rehash of million-dollar baby grifting tactics. The collective heave of Floor 8H's breath being audibly extracted couldn't drown out the soaring pitch of eye rolls pelting Markle in stony side-eyed judgment as Gosling thrust his finger towards the Duchess's petrified recoil. Nor did the subsequent looks of indignation plastered across the writer's lounge suite camouflage their nervous acknowledgement that the hemorrhaging proprieties marked a calculated point of no return. Just like that, the self-anointed voice for the voiceless invincible victimhood cloak had been cinematically shredded with the opening salvo of savaging. The one I came here to experience is the same hopelessly thirsty deludorette who hornswaggled an elder wealthy wife into staring on a teenage cable knitting program, then somehow backtracked 6 seasons to wangle up a golden boy's velvet choke chain. Meghan Markle, the princess privilege all other basic betchery aspire to binge insta-thought heights of radiant desperation towards. Between the A-lister's brutally condescending smirk and Markle's already overwrought radiance visibly imploding in near-weeping convulsions just an hour into the live broadcast, it swiftly became apparent none of the British transplant's tireless victimhood rhetoric would serve as defensive shielding. The unpredictably fearless Goz had taken one look at the sanctioned playbill prospectus and creatively decided to return fire at every trigger point. I won't even pretend to offer any pretenses about my assessment on just how unprecedented a betrayal of trust your entitled depravity represents to the great nation I call home, the celebrated leading man growled with just enough increments of feigned bonhomie and Michigan whiskey accent beneath to strategically mitigate immediate censor intervention. So let's just eviscerate this insufferable friction, soaking up all creative oxygen on the spot while I'm contractually blessed with the freedom to ether this injustice. What followed exceeded any prior comedy denizen's threshold for palatably pushing envelope ruptures into entirely new dimensions of incendiary scrutiny. While Gosling mercilessly eviscerated every tidbit of Meghan Markle's sanctified origin narrative by roasting the podcast profiteer over her clout-famished climb through Hollywood's odd-job decadence towards entrapping Harry, no legacy falsity remained unearthed. Her YouTube side hustle grifts and $17 online psychic defeats during the impoverished suitcase model years? brazenly rehashed as setups for bra-stuffing D-list auditions that ultimately paved the road towards her first matrimonial conquests of elderly television stagehands. Every redacted psychosexual shaming and humiliating paid for from mutual acquaintances throughout the entertainment underbelly fed one epic bonfire of vanities being stoked to char the Duchess's carefully tailored feminist messiah mythology down to bitter ash. Even the most ruinous lowlights that Team Markle had desperately smothered under intersectional rebrands overcoming struggle's manifold traumas, re-emerged for graphic revisitation. Among them, night vision footage showcasing her participation in Venice Skid Row #RatchetRave orgies to thirst-trap second-tier Anglophilic moguls into relevance, only for those priceless shoots of sordid despair to end up grotesquely traded across Fortune 100 exec dark webs. Little possibility of any victims remaining unscathed in this harrowing surgical dismantling remained. By the time Gosling left his pregnant partner Eva Mendes's square-jawed glamour withering beneath the brutal limelight of existential interrogation, the seething leading man had even managed to recall how Markle's hypocritical clique of opportunists sought to destroy her for leaving a stillborn baby with IVF doctors once that pathway to childbearing proved too intense.